Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have a look at the latest on the live radar. We'll have a look at what the latest temperatures are today, as we still have pretty warm summer-like conditions to end the month. We'll have a look at the 5-day precipitation and temperature, as the next 4 or 5 days still looks really quite nice, quite dry for the majority, and still really quite warm. Temperatures ranging widely from around 20 to 25 degrees, but it's that 6, 7, 8-day time frame where, as we have seen in the last few videos, things are going to be turning a lot more unsettled as we head into the first week of September. This time next weekend, we're expecting much cooler conditions and very unsettled conditions as well. Cooler air coming in off the Atlantic, along with a low pressure system that's just going to sit over the top of us, giving us very unsettled, stormy weather, as we'll see in the GFS, ECMWF, and the Ensembles. We'll also have a look at what's going to happen beyond that, as we are seeing signs of that low pressure perhaps departing towards the middle third of the month, and where it goes can determine what happens next. Some ensemble members and some models have higher pressure building back in, potentially turning things a little bit drier and warmer into September. Perhaps some, similar to the ECMWF Operational Run today, which starts to actually bring up a very hot southerly wind, and others go more of a northerly wind. So we'll have a look at what the different scenarios are over the next couple of weeks. But for the time being, it's warm over the next few days. But by next weekend, it does look likely it will be a lot more unsettled and autumnal. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe. And remember to follow me on Twitter as well. Links in the description. So if you do start on the live radar, you can see it is predominantly dry. Now, there is a bit of precipitation across parts of Ireland at the moment into the Irish Sea. This wasn't particularly well forecasted, and a lot of the models had this more just a showery area of precipitation, but it has turned into a little bit more organised, but most of this is light and patchy. A lot of precipitation within this is, as I said, of lower intensity. There are some heavier showers across Northern Ireland and parts of Northern England, but again, very scattered, and most areas are in fact pretty dry and pretty bright as well. There are some cumulus clouds cropping up today, and it is a generally cloudier day today than it was yesterday, but there is still some sunshine around for you to enjoy. And as I said, temperatures widely into the low to maybe even mid-20s come later this afternoon. Now, I'm recording this just before 3 p.m, so we've got the 2 p.m. observations. We'll have a look at them in a minute. And, of course, those temperatures could peak 3 or 4 p.m, so could still get another degree or two warmer than it is right now. And we do look at those 2-meter temperatures on the map. You can see it is very warm. A lot of these oranges and reds. Very nice indeed. And we have got a wind coming in from the east at the moment. And this actually does favour further western areas. Now, the wind isn't that strong, but because it is still an easterly flow, we get the Fern effect, which, again, we have talked about many times on the channel. Of course, Met Office talk about it as well, because it is a massive driver of very locally high temperatures. It's where wind rises over the hills or mountains, and as it descends, it compresses and warms up, and we can see that right now on the chart here for parts of northwest England. To the east in Yorkshire, it's not too bad. Pretty warm, pretty dry, but to the west of the Peak District, we can see things are darker red, so temperatures potentially rising into the mid-20s here locally, from Manchester, Liverpool, through St Helens, potentially peaking all the way to the coast across Formby and Southport. These areas looking really quite nice indeed, but it is locally. You go 50 miles further north and eastwards, it's a good few degrees lower, and that's what we're seeing at the moment, but it's still widely low to mid-20s, and again, you see a little bit across parts of Bristol and southern Wales. Very warm today, warmer than it is perhaps across Essex and Kent, with a bit more of an easterly breeze, but it is marginal changes, perhaps potentially only 2 or 3 degree changes, but it is widely still really quite warm, widely really quite warm and dry. If we do have a look at those temperature observations, you can see widely around midday to 2 p.m. these observations here, it is mid to low 20s. You can see Blackpool there, that is in the northwest, getting to 24 degrees, perhaps getting help from the Fern effect there, but it is still widely very warm across a lot of areas, even down into London area, 23 degrees C in Heathrow at 2 p.m, and just widespread really nice, pleasant late summer conditions. So do make sure you do cherish today tomorrow, of course, being a bank holiday as well. Hopefully many of you got a day off work, so make sure you enjoy that as well. It is, again, looking continually warm and dry, and throughout most of this week, still very warm, sunny and dry. It's come Friday, Saturday, Sunday time where things start to come a lot more unsettled. We can see the first hints of that on the end of this UKV run, but you can see at the moment around 3 p.m, pretty dry, some showers around, but mostly it is dry, and there are more clouds today than we have seen over the last few days, but again, nothing too crazy. There is sunshine poking through. As we head towards tomorrow, into the afternoon, you can see more sunshine, especially across parts of England and parts of southern England, northern England, and parts of Scotland. But it could trigger a few showers, some heavier showers across the Highlands there, parts of southern Scotland as well, and across northeast England, East Anglia, a few showers here or there. But again, they may just not come off at all, really. We didn't see any showers hardly yesterday, and we did see the models showing some precipitation. So these could just not come off at all, but we have to keep an eye on it. But majority, it is still very dry and warm and sunny. And as we head forward towards Tuesday, another very dry and even more sunny day there, and again, warm. And into Tuesday, again, continuingly very dry, very sunny and very warm, and again into Thursday, again very sunny, very warm and very dry, but just to look to our northwest, thicker cloud, and you can start to see precipitation pushing in. Now that's way offshore, but that is the low pressure system that is arriving later this upcoming week into the weekend. It's going to bring us some very unsettled weather, and you can see it creeping in for the early hours of Friday. That weather front starting to push in with much fresher Atlantic air. You can see the 850 HPA temperatures much cooler within the low pressure system, a good 5 to 10 degrees cooler than the upper air temperatures ahead of it. And look at the pressure, it is associated with lower pressure, 1016 millibars pushing in there. Again, not ridiculously low pressure, but the centre of the low is still out in the North Atlantic. So yeah, right at the end of this run, we are starting to see that low pressure push in, and probably in the next day or two, we'll start to see the real impacts of this coming next weekend. Have a look at what the precipitation charts are showing. Where are we likely to see precipitation with this big low pressure system? If you look at the max temperatures, though, you can see it's very pleasant over the next 5 days. Widely, again, low to mid-20s, perhaps tweaking 24, maybe 25 degrees. Into bank holiday Monday, again, very similar temperatures, widely mid to high teens in the coolest areas, but widely low 20s. Again, thicker cloud across northeast England and a few showers. It is keeping those temperatures down a little bit. But again, those showers could just not come off at all. So I would take those temperatures with a grain of salt, and they could be quite a bit warmer. So I still think widely low to mid-20s. And again, into Tuesday, we see those temperatures rise again, low to mid-20s. Again, favouring further westwards. Republic of Ireland, Northern Ireland are going to be doing very well out of this, as well as southern parts of Wales and southwest England. That's where the peak temperatures look likely. Still further eastwards, still warm, but just maybe a degree or two cooler than further westwards. And into Wednesday, still a very warm day. But it could be the warmest day that we could be seeing for a long while. End of August there, 31st of August, Wednesday time, 24, 25, or even 26, and maybe even a local 27 degrees. That could be the warmest temperatures we see for 6 months or so. Again, it's not guaranteed. Of course, we can still see higher than that. We could even get into the 30-degree range in September, but it becomes increasingly more unlikely as we head into the next few weeks. And finally, Thursday, again, could be 26, 27 degrees. But again, that could be the warmest we get for quite a while. So we have to see what happens. But as it likely, August is going to end a very warm, dry and sunny note. September, the 1st, may start as a dry and warm and sunny day. But come Friday, Saturday, Sunday, things do look likely to be turning a little bit more downhill. So if you have a look at the mid to longer range now, have a look at the GFS, ECMWF and the Ensembles. Now you can see high pressure building at the moment, easterly flow, and that's why we get the Föhn effect across northwest England. Very dry and warm, and just continuing under this higher pressure. But you can see a Thursday time, low pressure dropping out of the North Atlantic, spinning up and sitting over into our west, spinning a lot of showers and thunderstorms in, and we could be dragging out warmer air into that off the near continent, and that could fuel the showers and storms. That is the big thing we have to see with this. If that low pressure is parked on top of us, it's going to be cooler, and it's going to be unsettled. But if it's parked further westwards, like this is showing, it could start to drag up hotter air. That could actually give higher temperatures where we do avoid the showers, but it could add energy to those showers, can increase Cape levels with a warm, humid air mass from the south mixing in with the low pressure, and it could in fact increase the intensity of the showers that we do see into thunderstorms perhaps. So that is something we do need to keep an eye on. Again, that's not going to be completely resolved until it's in the 5-day time frame, and again we're looking at sort of in 8-9 days time. Beyond that, the low pressure just sits around and eventually does fill in, and right towards the end of the run, we just actually sit under higher pressure. So the GFS today, yes, for about 7 days there, is pretty unsettled, pretty horrible, with a lot of rain, a lot of showers around, not really a lot of widespread dry weather. But as we head towards the middle third, as I said at the start of the video, this is showing drier, warm weather. Yes, low pressure is still to our southeast, but it's a little upper trough, dissipating away, but generally under higher pressure, very warm conditions. Again, the upper temperatures are not crazy, but it would be mid to high teens, maybe locally low 20s, which is not too bad for the middle of September, because of course we are going to have to lower our standards over the coming weeks as it becomes increasingly more difficult to get those temperatures into the 20s. So high teens, low 20s as we head into September and October are going to be pretty good days. So that is what we have to look forward to. So hopefully this does come off, because of course mid-September dry and warm weather is very much a lot of people would enjoy it as we head into the long dark winter. But for the time being, it's just one run and it's right at the end, so I have to see how it does play out. Now you may have noticed on the west of the UK, on the left of the screen, a big low pressure system with some very hot air wrapped in it. Now this is an ex-hurricane or ex-tropical storm, and the NHC website is popping up, so we may be doing a video on that in the next couple of days. A lot of areas of interest are coming in, and we are seeing a lot of disturbances in the North Atlantic at the moment, or Mid-Atlantic really. So right at the end of this run, we can see a big hurricane or ex-tropical system exiting Northeast America, and that looks likely we could be seeing some of these systems develop over the next sort of 5 to 7 days, and then in the next 10 to 14 days potentially impacting the North Atlantic. So I have to see how that does come to fruition, because that could impact the second half of September, with a lot of energy being pushed up into the upper atmosphere towards the jet stream. It could really power things up towards the second half of the month, and it could turn us increasingly more stormy, and not the sort of unsettled stationary low we have next week, which is going to be breezy, it's going to be gusty, it's going to be unsettled, a lot of showers. It could fuel big low pressure systems, named storms. Those sort of things could be developing perhaps for the second half of September, just depending on how this next few disturbances we're seeing in the Mid-Atlantic does develop. So that is something to keep an eye on. Now if we do go over to the GM, see how that does compare over the next 10 days. Again, high pressure in control at the moment. It is bringing warm easterly flow, but then low pressure drops and just parks over the top of us. And right towards day 10, it's still parked on top of us. Now it is filling in. So you can see the pressure is rising within it, but it still is lower pressure, it's still a trough, and still would be giving generally unsettled and slightly cooler conditions. Now the upper air temperatures there are nothing too spectacular, it's in a bit of a cooler trough there for our latitude, but it is still not too bad. Look at the upper air temperature deviations. It's around, slightly above, slightly below average, depending on where you are in the country. So it isn't too bad. Temperatures probably widely in the mid to high teens, maybe peaking low 20s, but nothing too spectacular, and would still be unsettled. So this GEM run for a good 5 to 7 days there would be pretty unsettled indeed, with starting next Friday all the way to next Wednesday on here, showing very unsettled, showery weather. Now, if we do have a look at the ECMWF Operational Run, see what that is showing over the next 10 days. Now, as I said, it is potentially showing some very hot conditions into the middle of September. It was showing that yesterday as well. So very interesting seeing that from 2 consecutive midnight ECMWF runs. So I have to see how it does play out. But high pressure in at the moment, that low pressure does drop and control our weather for a few days. But by next Sunday and Monday time, we're actually drawing in a very hot southerly wind before the low pressure does move back in. If we run that back, the 50-degree isotherm comes in. That's incredibly hot for next Monday or Tuesday, wow, that is, yeah, pretty hot indeed. And again, we put on those 2 meter temperatures and go to the surface, mid to high 20s, potentially 30 degrees there in the first week of September. But it is an outlier run. I know a lot of you probably are hoping we could see something like this, some warmer weather into September, or continuation of the warmer weather, and of course this could fuel massive thunderstorms as well, as that low pressure does push it eventually away. Again, look at those the pressure charts. You see the low pressure does reintroduce itself right towards the end of the run, so that could turn things very unsettled and very thundery towards the end of this run. But it would produce a good few days of very hot conditions there. But it is an outlier, as I said, and does look likely that low pressure is parked much closer by, with moderately warm air, sort of 10-degree isotherm being pumped into it. So could still be low 20s, maybe mid 20s at a stretch into the weekend and next week, or following week, sorry. But with a lot of showers around, and I don't think this sort of scenario is very likely at all. So it is there, but as we'll see in the line graphs in a minute, it is very much an outlier. Now, if we do have a look at the anomaly charts from the ECMWF, if we do just run to day 10 when we do start to have uncertainty, you'll be able to see the different array of outcomes here. You can see 13 or 25% of just low pressure sat over the top of us into our south and our west. Southerly wind, but still very unsettled. 12, including the control and operational, have that hotter sort of scenario with that low pressure slightly further south and westwards, drawing up a hot southerly wind. Again, not every single of these runs that fit into that anomaly chart will be the same as the operational run. Again, this is generalization, putting them into scenarios, so others may be slightly different, but the potential is there. 9, low pressure just sent over top of us, very unsettled. 8, again, low pressure centre over top of us, just slightly different positioned and slightly different orientation of the higher pressures, but still very unsettled. Another 6, still very unsettled, northern blocking with a cooler northerly airflow feeding into this, so it could be pretty chilly and unsettled. Another 3 of that low clearing out into the North Sea, still very unsettled. So all of these are showing the low pressure near or close by, and that operational run that's showing that very hot air coming in from the south is very much an anomalous run, just exactly optimum to see that hot air come in most, not playing out that way with much more unsettled and cooler conditions. If we go right towards the end, see what the extended range is showing for the 12th of September. 26, including the control run, have high pressure building back in. So that's what we saw in the GFS Operational Run. Very interesting to see that. So potentially high pressure could build back in for the middle of the month. 16 of high pressure blocking towards Greenland. Again, another very interesting sign. I know we are a good 2 or 3 months away from any wintry potential, but high pressure blocking, we're seeing kind of consistently on these ensemble charts, is interesting as we head into the autumn, and if it does hold up for the early winter, could give something a little bit chillier and properly chillier as well. So we have to see that. But this is showing a northerly wind and would be pretty cool for this time of year. And another 9 are with high pressure blocking. Again, a bit of an easterly flow. Wouldn't actually be too cold with the continent still quite warm this time of year. So very interesting seeing that at the end of the ensembles today. But again, it is very much extended range, so it's unlikely for it to come off exactly like this. Now, if we do finish by having a look at the line graphs from the ensembles again, look at those GFS ensembles, pretty warm and dry all the way to around the 1st or 2nd of September. May still be quite warm and dry in the south and the east on Friday, but for the north and west, I think it'll be turning more unsettled. As we head into that unsettled patch from around the 3rd until the 9th of September, you can see precipitation is pretty high and pretty frequent. A lot of showery, convective conditions again. These won't pinpoint the individual areas of precipitation until it's within the 5-day time frame, and even then it will be a little bit choppy because they are low resolution ensembles. And you can see there is big uncertainty with the absolute upper air temperatures. You can see some are going very warm, some are going very cool, and that just depends on what air mass is feeding the lower pressure. Again, these cooler ones would be unsettled, quite miserable. The warmer runs could be quite thundery and explosive within the showers around the low. So we'll have to see what happens with that. And beyond that, generally upper air temperatures around average. A little bit of a drying signal towards the end, but again, nothing too crazy. Still quite a few precipitation spikes there. And if we do compare it to the ECMWF ensembles, again, warm and dry for the next 5 days. Again, the upper air temperatures, nothing too spectacular around average this time of year. Temperatures do actually increase as that low pressure runs in with a southerly flow. ECMWF operational runs runs, sorry, ECMWF Ensemble runs, definitely favouring more of that southerly influence, but still nothing particularly hot apart from a couple of anomalous runs and the operational run there, well above majority of the ensemble members, showing much hotter and drier conditions. Again, majority are a lot cooler. Most are still around or slightly above average, so low 20s is not out of the cards, maybe mid 20s if we do see an afternoon of sunshine. But I don't think that high 20s or 30-degree scenario is going to come off, and you can see a lot of precipitation spikes. Again, it won't rain all the time. Some areas will have dry afternoons or maybe even whole dry days, but there are going to be a lot of showers around, a lot of heavy showers, potentially occluded fronts, things like that, producing more persistent precipitation. And of course, there could be some thunderstorms if we do see some of that warm, humid air filter in from the south and the southeast. So could see a very unsettled first full week of September. So yeah, make sure you cherish the next 4 or 5 days or so if you are getting out and about, as we do end meteorological summer. It is looking very warm and dry for many. Temperatures ranging around that 20 to 25 degree mark. Could even be a degree or two higher through Wednesday and Thursday, but very warm and very dry. But it looking like it will flip into the first week or so of September, and by next weekend it could be a lot more unsettled, and it could be very rainy, stormy potentially as well. So again, nothing too much has changed there, and we'll be having a look at the details of this in much more scrutiny over the next few days. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure you enjoy your bank holiday weekend and get out there in the sunshine, and I'll see you again for another video soon.